What's up, everybody? It's Hey John, Agora Opportunities Nonstop. In today's video, I will be covering some news about Bitcoin funding extremist groups. That is no bueno. And I will be covering natural gas futures because, as you can tell, it is going up exponentially. And I want to show you guys from a chart perspective what is going on and what is potentially to come and how it will impact our beloved cryptocurrencies. So let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a extremist group. I don't want to say who or whom to give them any power, but I do want to go over it. And this is why cryptocurrency is being regulated. Well, this individual and this extremist group here, right? They've currently raised about 112 Bitcoins or even more. And currently it's worth about $15 million. And this individual and group has been banned by PayPal. They have no bank accounts because they've been closed. And yet this person relies on Bitcoin solely to do his transactions and to live their life. I mean, okay, I get it. That's great. But however, though, this is a stigma of what cryptocurrency is. It evades governments. Fine. But in this case here, it's funding extreme groups. And whether you have extreme left or extreme right, well, I would say extremes are not really good in general here. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to get political. I'm not taking a stance on left or right here. I'm just explaining to you guys and gals of why the government wants to regulate cryptocurrency, because they want to know who and where are using their monies. That's really what it boils down to. Who and how you're spending your money. That's what they mean by regulation here. And to me, I'm okay with that. Because currently in the US monetary system and most monetary systems in the world here, right? You do get W-2, which means it's filed to the government so they know how much you make every year. Your credit cards are a transaction history of what you buy. Oh yeah, I bought a Taco Bell donut today. Oh, I bought a Dunkin' Donut today, I bought, whatever you buy, it's already being tracked, assuming you use credit cards or digital payments here. Cryptocurrency just makes it obvious. You can see any transaction. I don't need to see your username and login to see what you're buying. All I need is an address, and I can see what that address bought. But the problem is that that address is anonymous. It doesn't say, hey, this anonymous is Hey John here, right? So it's good and bad. But in this case here, I understand why the government wants to regulate it. And honestly, I believe they should, because we don't want to fund extremist groups because, well, 9/11, right? That was an extremist group. And guess what happened? So again, usually when you go extreme any which way direction is not good. I kind of associate this with eating food here, right? It's okay to eat junk food. Nothing wrong with that. It's bad for you, but it tastes good. Yum, yum, yum. It's okay. It's only bad when you go extreme and you eat too much of it. Then you feel bad afterwards, right? So same idea here. I know that I'm kind of oversimplifying it, but that's just kind of how I see it, though. And of course, some folks may not agree, and that's okay. Leave a comment down below, and I will respond to you. And the same individual here, right, was stacking coins and Bitcoins during the riots in 2017 in America. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a fan of disorder or anything like that, because that is bad for the economy. And what's bad for the economy is bad for stability. And what's bad for stability is bad for your life. Because without stability, you are not able to go to a mundane job and make a mundane wage and live a mundane life. If you don't like that, well, the alternative is anarchy, or you make tons of money. It's either which way here, right? But for the majority of us, we have mundane lives. We clock in at 8, we leave at 5. We live our life like that. And you know what? It is what it is. Some of us branch out. We do individual entrepreneurship in America or wherever you're from. You take a risk and you potentially could have a high reward, or you can make nothing and sink to the bottom and start over and have a mundane job again. And again, I'm not trying to say this to be negative or pessimistic or anything. It is what it is, right? Some folks choose to try and they may fail, or they may rise, or they may fail and they get back up and they do it again, and it's fantastic. That's what you want to do. You want to fail. And you're like, hey, John, what do you mean fail? What the? Well, the more you fail, the more you're trying, and the more you're trying, the more you're learning. And over time, that learning and knowledge becomes innovation, and eventually you will hit your stride. Case in point here, I started doing YouTube maybe like beginning of this year, maybe like March or February. I'm not even too sure which month, to be honest, but basically early this year here, right? And my videos when I first started out, well, they were hot garbage, but I consistently failed and I consistently tried new tactics. I tried video settings, I tried new audio settings, and eventually I hit what I believe is a nice production quality right now. Obviously now at this point here, I just need better equipment now. But of course that takes money, that's okay here, right? I'm in a happy medium right now. I have the settings dialed in. I kind of have an idea of how I want to shoot videos, how I want to, portray the videos. Before I was doing it, it was like a hot mess. So the same idea here when you go off onto a, entrepreneurship here. It's the same idea here. I do apologize for that tangent, but let's get back to it now. So this is why we don't want to fund extremist groups, because we're going to see more extremist actions here. And honestly, we're seeing lots of disinformation in America and the world. You hear about Russians and Chinese, spies or hackers or whatever is always throwing out disinformation. Well, this disinformation is usually funneled through, guess what? Extremist groups. And they are setting and dividing the nation. And let's not do that, folks, okay? Let's come together and let's live peacefully and help one another out. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we are in tumultuous times right now. We have real inflation here. The media has been saying, oh, the inflation is transitory. But I've been saying, folks, that's what they're saying, but let's be real. It's only transitory because of supply chain disruptions, but now these supply chain disruptions are turning into a, guess what? A systemic issue now. So now we're seeing it becoming more long-term and no longer being transitory, because who knows when we will see these supply chain disruptions end. Because as you know, the Delta variant is wreaking havoc on the world. And as you know, the whole world is unvaccinated. So if you're not vaccinated, then that means you can contract COVID and you can get sick. And when that happens, guess what? You have less workers, and we import most of our goods from the Asian countries like China, Vietnam. And Vietnam is becoming a larger player in the market now. I'm seeing more and more products being made in Vietnam here. I'm seeing my clothes made in Vietnam now. Before, everything's made in China. So we're seeing a shift from China to Vietnam. So, which makes sense because Vietnam is a cheaper country in terms of labor, and for them it's opportunity. So you see companies like Nike go in there and they will exploit their workers and say, hey, here's a wage which is a lot higher than what you're normally getting in Vietnam money, but compared to the world, you're getting paid peanuts pretty much. And it's kind of like a catch-22. Nike says, hey, we're doing a great job. We're giving them jobs and opportunity. But from our eyes, Western eyes, we're like, dude, you're getting paid like how much a day? That's it? That's terrible. So again, it really depends on perspective here. And the whole world runs on who can you go to for the cheapest labor? Because labor is the largest and most expensive expense in anything you do. Say, for example, when you hire a contractor, right? Yeah, the materials cost this and that money here, right? But the majority of money is labor cost and the hourly wage of these contractors. But I digress though, okay? So I did want to go over that because I thought it was very important to go over it. And I know that I went over a little tangent, but please bear with me. Another note as well, we are seeing Taco Bell and Whole Foods starting and potentially looking at accepting cryptocurrency here. Can you imagine buying Taco Bell, say your chalupa with some Dogecoin? I sure can. Imagine going to Whole Foods and getting not a whole paycheck, but a whole Bitcoin for an apple or a pear. Because we know Whole Foods is synonymous with whole paycheck because their produce is organic and it's super high quality. But my God, it costs you an arm and a leg. All right, folks. So now I want to go over natural gas futures here. I know it's a commodity, it's not cryptocurrency, but it is quite significant because the energy market is, I would say, in a sense, directly correlated with our supply chain shortages and cryptocurrency, because to mine cryptocurrency, you need energy. And natural gas is one of the more cleaner alternative energies compared to coal. So let's get to it and check out the charts now. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the natural gas futures. Normally I don't cover this kind of thing, but I think it's quite important because energy is now becoming a huge player in the market, and they are a commodity driven, and they're flying literally to the moon. And of course, Dogecoin and Bitcoin are not going to the moon because their energy cost is increasing and it's not good for mining. I'll leave it at that. So currently we're reaching a new high, and I wouldn't call it all-time high. I would say it is a previous high. In 2014 in February, it hit about, let's see, it hit about literally $6.49, basically $6.50 here. And currently we're seeing the price at the high is on $6.31. So what does this mean here? This means that, as you know, natural gas is flying right now. It literally went from $2.50 currently to about $5.75. You're seeing a 134% increase in natural gas futures. This is a huge gain. And you're wondering now, hey John, why are you covering this? What does it matter to me? I can't trade this. Well, actually you can trade this. If you have Robinhood or any kind of platform, you can trade through an ETF. You don't have to necessarily trade the natural gas futures. You can go through the ETF, such as Code or UNG, KOLD, UNG. Those are the tickers or ETFs where they tap into the futures, and you can trade the futures 1x or 2x. 1x means you're trading it literally dot for dot, or 2x means 2 dots for 1 dot. So essentially, when you move to 1%, you move 2%. So up or down 2%. So it's a leverage ETF right there for the most part. And currently, the opportunity I'm seeing is that around $6.50 was a previous all-time high in February, again, February 2014. So it's been about literally 8 years since we've been there. And now you're wondering, hey, John, what should I do? Should I go long? Should I go short? Well, that's up to you. I don't give financial advice, but from my perspective here, if it breaks 650, that means your next resistance is going to be around, let's see, 650. The next resistance will be around 792. Basically $8 will be your next resistance. And after that, well, after that's going to be 1193, 1372, and 1580. But if it were me though, I would be looking to possibly starting a short position on this, because natural gas, there is no shortage of it whatsoever. The issue with natural gas is the transportation and storage of it. There is no shortage of natural gas. If you live in Texas, or you know anyone in Texas who lives near a oil mining, fracking operation, well, they literally flare the natural gas. And what does flare mean? Well, flaring natural gas means that they literally have nowhere to store it, and it costs more to store the natural gas as in build the facility. So instead, what they do is they just burn the natural gas on purpose, and it goes to the air. They're just burning it. Think of it as a stove being turned on 24/7. But this stove is huge. The fire is huge. And it burns 24/7. It just burns non-stop, because these are the byproducts of the fracking. Because once you get the oil to come out, well, guess what? Also, the gas is being released as well. And that's kind of why they burn it off, because they want to get rid of it, and they can't just let it go into the air, right? So they have to do something about it, and that's what they did. But the thing now is that folks may say, hey, you know what? Now the price is getting so expensive, maybe I should store some and sell some in the future here, right? But the problem with natural gas is that the price is very volatile. And again, I want to emphasize, there is no shortage of natural gas. The issue is the transportation and logistics of it. That's why you have LNG, liquefied natural gas, because natural gas is a gas, right? It's very light. Once you compress it down like 10x or 20x, then it becomes viable to transport, because you're putting more energy into a space, because gas is like air. It's everywhere, right? It's very hard to transport. But once you compress it into a space and you put a lot more into it, then it becomes economically viable. So again, I want to emphasize that. And if it were me, I don't give financial advice, I would look into shorting natural gas. I'm not saying go all in. I'm not saying go crazy with it. And again, I don't give financial advice. I want to make very clear about that. I'm just saying if I was doing it, that's what I'd be looking into. I would not be going long on natural gas, even though I see it pulling back and going even higher. But to me, I see that as a shorting opportunity because natural gas, by definition, cannot sustain an all-time high for very long. And the reason for that is because there is no shortage of it. There's too much of it everywhere. Case in point here, if you've ever seen a landfill, well, the landfill will get covered with dirt and then grass and maybe a park over it or something here, right? But before it happens, where you see a park and a grass over the landfill, for the first few years, right, they literally put a gas capturing operation because it's trash that gets broken down into landfills. It breaks down and creates, guess what? Methane gas. And they store that gas and they sell it back to the trash companies. Or the trash companies capture the natural gas and use it to power their trucks. So if you're seeing a large trash truck and it says powered by natural gas, well, that means these trash companies are getting your trash and are charging you for your trash to put into landfill. They cover it with soil and dirt and water it. And then they put some pipes here and there and they capture natural gas and they power their trucks for pretty much free because the fuel is free. It comes from the trash they collect that you pay them to collect from you. So I did want to go out today and I want to say to folks here, thank you for tuning into my channel here. If you're new, please subscribe and notify. If you're a returning viewer, please hit the like button so YouTube knows to share this video with more folks. And most importantly, have an awesome day and I will catch you on the next one.